So, welcome back, everyone. Steve Kaplowitz here along with Adrian Broadus. And yep, it's that time again. Time for Track Talk with our pal Eric Alwan from Sunland Park Racetrack and Casino. And it also happens to be Sunland Derby week, the greatest week of the year if you are a horse racing fan in this area. Am I right, Eric?
Cappy, you're so right. And thank you for having our show on the air. And it's a great podcast. And we drew for the race, the Sunland Derby, just really a couple of days ago. On Sunday, we had Tom Dawson and Julie Farr out. And I know that management, including our director of racing, Dustin A. Dix, we were all very pleased. You know, we have an 8-horse field in the Sunland Derby. And I think that's a good number because it's not going to just be one big favorite like Straight Up G. Straight Up G is going to have to earn it because we've got some other Southern California talent coming in, most notably a horse named Slow Down Andy, who is trained by Doug ONeill, who's no stranger to Sunland Park, as a matter of fact. Back when we started the Sunland Derby, you know, a long time ago, back in 2003, he won the very first Sunland Derby with Excessive Pleasure, and then he won in 05 with Thor's Echo. So I'm glad that we were able to get his attention. As a matter of fact, Steve, he chose our race, the Sunland Derby, over the Bluegrass Stakes in Keeneland.
Wow.
Because Slow Down Andy had this tremendous workout just a few days ago at Santa Anita.
That's huge in itself. And it just goes to show you again, I mean, Doug ONeill is a power trainer, Eric, and he's bringing, a horse that he thinks can race in the Derby.
Yeah.
That's a big deal. Now, he's been to this track before, right? ONeill has had other horses that have entered into the Sunland Derby in the past.
Sure, and won it twice. And, there are many years that we have the Sunland Derby where, I look at the racing form and, you're hard pressed to find horses with graded stakes wins or stakes placed. And we have that this year. So despite us, not having had the Sunland Derby since 2019, 2022 could be one of our best.
Eric Alwan with us here as we have Track Talk with Sunland Park Racetrack and Casino. So you mentioned Straight Up G a moment ago. This was a horse that really shined in the Mind That Bird Derby, had a big lead, but held on late. But at the same time, as you mentioned a moment ago, Doug ONeill's horse got the best of Straight Up G earlier in the year when they raced against each other. So, you wonder what kind of impact that could play here at Sunland on Sunday.
I just kind of thought it was ironic that, as recently as last October, when they were a lot younger, both those horses they were just two, that in Slow Down Andy's debut, and it was Straight Up G's debut, just a maiden race at Santa Anita, Slow Down Andy beat him by a lot, beat him by over 6 lengths. Now, certainly, they've progressed. Both of them have progressed a lot, but, Slow Down Andy certainly has faced some nice ones. And having won the Los Alamitos Futurity and beat a horse called Messier, who many think is still a big Kentucky Derby favorite, I think that shows a lot of resume power. But Straight Up G, on the other hand, has home field advantage, having run and won over Sunland Park soil. So in a way that might counterbalance what we just said.
Now, those are two horses from an 8-horse field, and you've talked about other shippers coming in. Now, I remember, I think Mind That Bird Derby had 4 shippers, and I think, what was it? Either 2 or 4 local horses that were racing. What are we looking like here as far as local horses in the Sunland Derby versus shippers from out of state?
Kind of the same ratio, about half and half, coming from out of town and those that have been here before. Those that have run here before, besides Straight Up G, I'm still very high on Todd Fincher's horse. Todd's, of course, our top trainer here at Sunland, and he's got Bye Bye Bobby. And Bye Bye Bobby one sold for $870,000 in the Keeneland sale of September of 2020. And I don't really think he's been a disappointment here. He's fought valiantly in our 2 big prep races, the Riley Allison Derby. He only gets beat a neck to Pepper Spray, and he was coming. Then he runs a fast closing second to Straight Up G in the Mind That Bird Derby, only gets beat 3 parts of a length. And now he gets an extra 16th of a mile you know, and deservedly so. Bye Bye Bobby is getting respect in the morning line at 9-2. I believe he's the fourth favorite. You know, Slow Down Andy's 2-1. So there are four horses that are kind of near the top of being favored. What Bye Bye Bobby has to do, Steve, is learn how to relax a little bit more in the first stanza of these races and then make his move when it's not too late. He's made his move a little too late in our first two races. He's extremely talented. And Todd's won the Sunland Derby before. He won it with Runaway Ghost in 2018. So we cannot dismiss Todd. Todd can beat these trainers. He's that good.
Eric, what about some long shots? People love to play the long shots, especially with the exotic bets, because they like to box them in and play those to try to get a bigger payoff. If you had to look at a couple of, let's just say, double-digit horses, will it be either 10-1 or more that could come off on the starting line, but have a real shot at finishing in the top three? Give me some of those dark horse favorites of yours.
Well, I don't think they're going to come in, but doesn't mean they don't have a shot. My Ned Bird won the Derby back in 09 at 50-1. But since we only have 8 horses in the race, you know, your favorites aren't going to be so favored and your long shots aren't going to be so long. You know what I'm saying?
I do.
The morning line sort of suggests that. There's a horse called Chrome King who won the Turf Paradise Derby in Phoenix and beat a really solid brew. He beat a horse called Phineas, and Phineas was 1-9 in that race. And you'll see Phineas's name on the form lines for Straight Up G. He ran up against Phineas a time or two in Southern California, beat him a couple times by 3 lengths, but Phineas is pretty well respected. I think he even won a stakes race on the undercard on Breeders' Cup Day at Del Mar. So maybe Chrome King could be that type of a double-digit long shot who is improving and is trained by a man that we know that did very well here at Sunland, Miguel Hernandez, a former jockey, and he was a really great trainer here at Sunland for a number of years before he moved out to Arizona. But this Chrome King has improved by leaps and bounds. His buyer figures have increased by almost 35 points in the last couple of races. So he's going the right direction. I just don't know if it's going to be quite enough improvement to take on that top 3 contingent. In my mind is going to be Slow Down Andy and Straight Up G, and then the local favorite, Bye Bye Bobby. Now, Steve Asmussen is bringing 2 into the race. Classic Moments at 7-2. He's the 3-2. Oh, he's the third favorite. In Classic Moment, he was a pretty good third in the Mind That Bird Derby. He only got beat a length and a half, so he was definitely within stone's throwing distance of winning that race. He just didn't impress me quite enough.
Okay.
But he'll be a threat, and so will Steve's other horse, Costa Terra. That one's at 8-1 on the morning line, and the breeding's beautiful there. Gun Runner's his daddy. He was a former horse of the year, and the Winchell Thoroughbreds owned him, and they owned Costa Terra. But this Slow Down Andy looks impressive to me because he is by a Kentucky Derby winner in Nyquist. Nyquist won the Derby for Doug ONeill. Doug ONeill is the trainer of this horse. So it all seems to follow a pattern there that they mean business, you know, and they'd like to win those 50 qualifying points for the Derby. They would get into the Kentucky Derby if they win our Sunland Derby.
I also feel like Slow Down Andy has the perfect post position, number 4. I mean, right in the middle. So that to me also says that, you know, you're in that perfect spot. And I'll ask you, in an 8-horse race like this with so much on the line, do you prefer right in the middle at 4? Do you like to be on the inside or the outside? I know everybody has their own preference, but historically speaking, from what you've seen in this race in the past, what is the best position to be in?
No, I haven't done a real detailed analysis of that, but that is interesting. Usually it isn't that much of a factor because they have a whole furlong before they hit the first turn. But in this race, maybe it will help. You know, Slow Down Andy's going to use a device on his head and around his eyes called blinkers. Blinkers tend to help a horse get away fast from the gate, okay, to get position. So maybe they want to parlay this number 4 post position into getting the lead in the first turn. And I will tell you this, getting the lead in the Sunland Derby is usually a pretty good thing. Yeah, there have been some nice closing horses that have won, but the predominance of the ones that win get that lead down the backstretch. But what's going to happen, Steve? Straight Up G also wants the lead, and he's got that cozy number 8 post position. So things could get very, very interesting in this Sunland Derby right out of the gate, with the 2 favorites possibly colliding.
That's awesome.
That could be trouble for those 2 if they get it on in too much of a heated pace early.
Eric Alwan, the voice of Sunland Park Racetrack and Casino, joining us here on Track Talk like he does each and every week. Now, the Derby is the showcase, but the Sunland Oaks is also a major, major race to keep an eye on. And it sounds like there's going to be more star power this year, like there always is with the Oaks.
We've got a better contingent of local horses in that race, Steve. So it's a chance for the locals to do very well. Miss Hard Knocks, who won the first 2 preps for our Sunland Oaks locally and did so nicely for Bart Hone. I see her as the mile favorite in the Oaks. She's got the experience. She likes to go long. She proved that. And she's beaten a number of these horses before. I did see on the list of horses that are running in the race, though, Steve Asmussen's bringing a filly, Optionality, who faced arguably the top filly in the entire country, Secret Oath. Guess what Secret Oath is going to run in? She's going to run in the Arkansas Derby against boys, because Dwayne Lucas, that venerable Hall of Fame, one of the greats in thoroughbred training, has so much confidence in her that he feels that she could win the Kentucky Derby. She's that good. And if she wins the Arkansas Derby, that'll really say a lot. So when we look back at our race, the Sunland Park Oaks, maybe Optionality has a shot of winning our race, because she was second to Secret Oath just a couple of races back. And Steve is also, just like Dwayne Lucas, just an awesome trainer, especially with fillies. Peter Urton, maybe a name you've never heard of before. He's a Breeders' Cup winner. His lovely daughter, Brittany Urton, is seen nationally every day of the week on TVG as a commentator. And she's also a very lovely personality when NBC does the Breeders' Cups. So her dad, Peter Urton, a well-known trainer, has a horse called Queen of Thorns, who's shipping in from Santa Anita. So, between Optionality and Queen of Thorns, I see those 2 as the most probable getting in the way of Miss Hard Knocks, maybe in the Oaks.
I believe it. We also have the $100,000 Bill Thomas Memorial Stakes, 6.5 furlongs. That's the 4th race. You got the $120,000 New Mexico State University Stakes as well. I mean, it's a loaded card on Sunday, Eric.
It's a wonderful time to come out and bet. There's going to be so much money in the pools. I've talked to Dustin about it. Dustin holds the record in the state of New Mexico for the most money bet on any card for one day, of about 4.8 million on one of our Sunland Derbies, a few years back. We think he could eclipse 5 million, maybe 6 million, Steve, because we're getting so much publicity, both locally and nationally, out of it. And you're going to have an all stakes pick 4, with those big stakes races that you noted, concluding with the Derby. There'll even be an all stakes pick 5. I mean, it's a wonderful day to take some shots at those big pools.
In fact, if you want to get, I guess, a little bit of a heads up, 10 a.m. Sunday in the Signature Showroom, Julie Farr, Tom Dawson, they're going to have a free handicapping seminar even before the day gets going. So it's a great way to get a little bit of a head start on your betting day.
We want our fans to be, in tune and up to date with the latest breaking information, and none better than Julie Farr and Tom Dawson. They're both so experienced at the racing game. Tom has been, a television producer of so many major races in the country for the last, 3, 4, 5 decades. I've known Tom all my life. And Julie Farr has come on strong lately as a really, really informative paddock hostess. And, her work is known nationally. So come out at 10 a.m. in the Signature Showroom. It's a great way to get started on the day. And you'll be early. You won't have to fight the crowds. And if you even want to bet even earlier than that, Steve, you could come out Saturday and advance wager any of our races for Sunday's card.
12:25 post time, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, especially for Sunday. If people are looking to come out because of the pageantry and see everything, when do you recommend to get there?
I think you better get here like around 10, because the first race is at 12:25. I'm always up here in the announcer's booth or in the press box, and I can see that long line of cars just filing in, especially once the day gets rolling. And I think that if you come at 1 o'clock, it might be a little late at that point. So if you want to avoid that big crush, good to come out in the mid-morning hours and just get settled in, get a nice place to sit and view the races. We hold the record of, our attendance record is something like 17,000 fans. It's possible we could eclipse that mark too, because the weather's going to be really nice. It's not going to be like today's weather. It'll be 85 with very little wind blowing. So we're going to get lucky in that regard.
Ideal conditions, the signature race day of the year this Sunday, Sunland Derby Day. But again, so much more going on, as Eric has mentioned for us here on Track Talk with Sunland Park Racetrack and Casino. I'm excited. We're planning on getting Jim Rome back on the show later this week. Maybe we can even hear from Doug ONeill and Todd Fincher. We'll try to line up as many interviews as we can, Eric. That's
wonderful, Steve. We're so thankful for your efforts. This is going to be the first Sunland Derby that we've had since 2019.
Amazing.
Isn't that something? We had that much of a break with COVID and everything that it's a triumphant return.
I agree with you.
Hey, Sunland Park.
We're excited about it. Appreciate the insight. We'll have a lot to recap next week. But again, thanks for all the analysis and getting us ready for the big one.
Thank you, Cappy. We'll be listening to your show.